Countrywide Connect with Andy Thompson and Sarah Perriam-Lamp.
Tomorrow and Wednesday, Sarah and I are heading off to Wellington this afternoon. We're going to be at the Institute of Rural Professionals Conference, so really looking forward to bringing you a taste of that conference. And also on Tuesday night they've got their big awards night, so we'll have the Young Rural Professional of the Year and the Rural Professional of the Year on the show on Wednesday, so looking forward to that. Someone who wouldn't probably classify as a Young Rural Professional of the Year is my next guest, Chris Gourley, CEO of Fern Energy. G'day Chris, welcome to the show, mate. Thanks for your time.
Not sure how to take that, actually. What are you suggesting?
Well, nothing. Just you're
wise.
You're wise and experienced.
If you feel young, you're young, surely.
Exactly. It's a night. You've got a background. You've got one of the big trucks behind you. How's your fleet?
Yeah, really good. Yeah, we've got, as you know, we replaced probably, I don't know, we put 43 new trucks on the road, so they're just going great guns. Actually, it's really paying dividends because they don't break down and they keep going. So yeah, it's awesome, and they look cool, don't they?
They do look cool. I was past one a couple of days ago, actually, and good drivers. You've got good professional drivers. I'll say this, like I drive Arthur's Pass a lot from Christchurch to Greymouth and back, and I always have a huge amount of confidence when I'm passing any of the professional truck drivers or following them, because they will let you know when it's safe. You don't need to be stupid. Those guys know the road like the back of their hand, don't they? And professional drivers you can trust.
Yeah, and they take it really seriously. I know we have a really strong program of work that continually upskills. Actually, we had a whole conference just this week where we had all our drivers off the road doing health and safety training, and they were practicing towing and pulling and all that sort of stuff. So we just got to keep at it, and we want to, it's a big part of our brand. So the reputation of our quality drivers is really important to us.
Have they let you in one of the trucks, Chris?
I'm allowed in the passenger seat whenever I like. To drive one? No. Most of the drivers would say, Chris, hey, passenger seat's all yours.
Exactly, that would be me. Backing them, though, backing should be an Olympic sport, I reckon.
Oh, yeah, when you're fully loaded, 50-ton, big trailer on, you see these guys just back it straight into any gap you like. So it's, I guess it's a learned skill, but they do it so often that they get good at it. Me and you, we'd probably jackknife it, wouldn't we?
We would be like trying to back the boat down the boat ramp, right? Very fraught. Just on that, I'm sorry, we're way off topic here, but just when it comes, you're talking about the weight of those trucks. You must have sorting out the route of your trucks to go down the roads, to go over the right bridges. That must be a bit of a logistical nightmare.
Oh, it is, but I mean, we do rely heavily. First line of defence is your driver, who always checks his load and makes sure that he's unloading enough fuel to be the right weight to go across bridges. But we have a scheduling system which does all that as well. So when we load it right from the port, it's organising the customers in the right order. So we take all of the risk out of that, so we can make sure that we're actually the right weight on the right roads. And it is complicated in New Zealand because it changes by state highway actually sometimes. So it's something we have to just make sure we're planned and organised around. But yes, it's part of the job, man. That's what we do.
All of those, but those are the things that you don't really even think about. You just see a truck on the road. You don't have I would if I thought about it, I might have, but I never thought about the weight of going somewhere full and then being somewhere empty or less than half full, and you've got the right weight to cross. Yeah. Okay.
And it's complicated. I mean, it's even where the fuel is in the truck. You don't want to have your trailer full of fuel and your truck with no fuel, because that's really hard to manage on the road. So there's a lot of balances in these weather conditions we're facing at the moment when it's wet and slippery. You always want to have some fuel on board, because being light can be a problem as well.
Yeah, well, driving over Arthur's Pass, actually Porter's Pass last night in the snow, I wouldn't have liked to have been driving a truck. I was towing a horse float, which was actually bad enough, but made it safely, which is good. Hey, Chris, we're here to talk about a bit of a snapshot on where we're at. You are the CEO of Fern Energy. What's happening right now? What are we looking at? I think we've had the war over, won, lost, saved, solved, not anymore. Straits of Hormuz open, closed, 12, 15, 30 times? I don't know. I've lost count. Where are we at?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's really interesting. I think there's three possible scenarios. The scenario we're in at the moment is, peace talks which go nowhere. The Strait's still predominantly closed. You've got the likes of Oman and Iran talking separately from the US now, which is really worrying. So I don't think there's any end to that part of the conflict. So that's scenario one. I think is the most likely to continue on for a period of time. The other scenarios, which we don't hope happens, which is reasonably low percentage, but look, if it escalates, the other countries in the Middle East get frustrated and start actually entering the conflict, and that's a real problem. Or the best case is that the peace deal is struck and we get back to normal. Unfortunately, I don't see that one as that likely either. It's definitely that middle one, and we're coming into a period of time, Andy, at the moment, which is quite challenging for global supply as we come out of our winter into our summer. The northern hemisphere goes into their winter, right? So European demand for fuel escalates. So unfortunately, I say it every single time. We're only certainty is price volatility over this next period. There's just no end in sight in regards to the actual, the best outcome, which is a peace deal, right, and back to normal.
I think potentially we're not going to see back to normal with the way things are. And so this volatility is the new normal. Just on that, though, Chris, price-wise then, knowing that that's the case, are we expecting to see what am I trying to say here? The fact, here's the famous glass of water that you said when prices are going up, you've got to drink that because you want to replace it. But the prices are the oil price is going up and down so quickly now with these various changes. You'd never know where you are with this glass of water. How do you price when you've got so much of that, so fast, so many changes?
I mean, well, look, ultimately, remember, we're a price taker. So New Zealand's a price taker. We're a fuel distributor, we're a price taker. So we have limited control in regards to what the importers are charging us. But what we are seeing with that price volatility now, it is becoming much more aligned again to Brent crude. Most of the increased costs associated with the refinery costs that we talked about a few weeks ago have now been put in place. So we're now seeing most of the volatility driven out of Brent crude. So you can monitor that reasonably well. Every movement usually is about a cent. So if you like, we were at $80 a barrel not long ago. We're now at $88. You would expect the market to have moved up by about 8 cents, if that makes sense. And that is about what it has moved in that period. So we can at least watch that and see what happens. And crude barrels are demand and supply, right? As I said, when we hit that European winter, we're going to see demand go up, and the supply is where it is right now, or in fact, not enough. So we will see price impacts. So it is going to be really interesting. I mean, the biggest thing I say to customers at the moment, because I get asked this question 100 times, is just, I know it's tough, budget for it, put it aside and get fuel when you need it. And that's the absolute key. Don't try and play the market. You'll miss it because it's moving so quickly.
Yeah. Have we seen, don't play the market 100%. Just fill up when you need to fill up like normal. And one day it's going to cost a bit more.
And keep a couple of months on farm. Yeah, and just keep a couple of months on farm. Back yourself from a resilience perspective. We don't know if there's going to be another big storm and we lose power. So have your generator ready, have a couple of months on farm, get on with farming and focus on that. Let us worry about the fuel side of things. You don't have to panic about supply. It's all going to be this whole price volatility that we're going to focus on.
So supply is under control because that's, when this first started, we didn't know about supply, right? So you're reasonably confident that the fuel's there, supply's sorted.
Yeah, I mean, we can afford it, Andy. Unfortunately, some of those third world countries that can't afford it are the ones that are going to probably find much tougher to get fuel. We'll just be, unfortunately, impacted by price. We'll see. We will see demand swing as we move into the European winter, and that will impact price. So we won't have any issues in getting it, but man, it could be more expensive. You know what I mean?
Have we seen over this past, since February, so March, whenever it was, the past 6 months, have we started to see now almost like a baked in, the markets, the futures are kind of going, we've got volatility, we know that it's sort of going to be messy. Are we kind of just starting to see a resignation now that this is just the way it's going to be going forward?
Yeah, I think the investment that the big importers made in their refineries to actually change their refineries to handle different types of crude around the world is a real signal, because why would they invest that much money and adapt just to go back to where they were before? So I don't think it'll ever go back. I think you'll find the big refineries like in Singapore will stay tuned to be able to take multiple sources of crude. And I think we've just, the whole globe's changed, right? And I think we've just got to get used to ongoing conflict, ongoing volatility. So it's not unlike the 100-year weather events, is it? We're kind of used to that now, aren't we?
Yeah, well, we're going to talk to Tony T about one of them coming up fairly shortly, which a lot of people get quite wound up about. Hey, Chris, just on that then, quality. So is New Zealand fuel, do we demand a specific quality, quite a high quality, do we?
Absolutely, yeah. So we, when you look globally, I guess the spec that we demand is of a higher, higher quality, which I think is the right thing to do. I mean, it's good for the environment; it burns much cleaner, and it's better for our new farming machinery as well because it's a better quality diesel's got to be good for your machines as well. So it is good, but it just means that we're pulling our fuel from a smaller pool of supply, if that makes sense. So there's certain refineries around the world that will produce that quality diesel that we need to run New Zealand. And therefore, when this damn stuff blows up and there's pressure on it, unfortunately, our fuel that we demand is more volatile.
Okay. Well, and that way, we've got to make sure that we get it. What about the government reserves? Like we saw the big Marsden Point tank, was it 9 days? Was it 100 million litres of diesel or something? A huge number.
90 million litres, 9 days. That's in there. They haven't sort of formulated how they're going to feed that into the system because they have to turn it over. But I mean, look, I'm a big advocate of everything, right? It's just more supply for New Zealand. We're in the middle of nowhere. We rely heavily on the international shipping network. The more supply we have onshore, the better. So it can only be good for us to have a bit extra supply. I know we're part of the IEA agreement or the International Energy Association agreement, which requires us to have 90 days of stock. The way that plays out in real terms is that most of that, you've heard it, 55 days is about where we get to. The rest of it, between 55 and 90, we had contracts with other countries to cover ourselves to that 90 days. But we are seeing that global stock under pressure. I think from what I understand, the US is at a 40-year low of storage onshore. We're seeing a deficit at the moment of about 3 million barrels. So we're seeing supply and demand outstripping supply or the production of fuel. So that has to stop at some stage. In context, we're talking about 90 billion barrels. So it's in context, 3 million a day isn't massive, but it is slowly eroding that global stock until the strait opens and we can sort of right the ship again and be in a positive situation. So there's definitely some risk out there, eh? And I think for us locally, we just got to really plan well with our budgets and make sure we've got fuel on stock to do the work that we need to get done.
So we know that most of our fuel is mainly refined in Asia, in
Singapore, Korea,
yeah. So where's that fuel being sourced from now? Is it like, where are we getting it from? Have we changed where we're sourcing our fuel?
New Zealand or crude?
Yeah.
So is there refineries? Or?
Well, sorry, crude, yeah. Do we just buy the refined? It doesn't matter where it comes from.
We tend to only buy refined fuel. And as I said, predominantly that is refined for us in Singapore and Korea. The actual refineries, though, like, the Singapore one's a classic, Mobil-owned refinery. They've moved from about 5 or 6 sources of crude to 22 sources across the world. So they've absolutely diversified. So, I mean, that's a good thing as well. I mean, it just, protects us a bit from shocks around the world because they're sourcing crude from different areas. But yeah, I think that's the change. I shouldn't say it's positive. It's a silver lining of a really difficult situation is that it's kicked the world into gear to say, actually, global supply of diesel is really important. We have to get much better at producing it from different sources of crude. So that's probably a silver lining of this whole thing is that we have diversified.
Yeah. And I guess making sure that they've had to diversify. I suppose some of the other countries around the world are producing more, I guess. Has production ramped up to take up the slack?
It has. It's just not enough. There's so much. I mean, what is it? 25% of the world's crude was coming through that strait. So you've definitely seen an increase in flow of crude from different countries, but it's not enough because there was so much coming through that strait. You've still got UAE etc. doing their pipeline so they can pump their fuel out, their crude across the coast into the other side of the coast. There's still lots happening, but I mean, I think if I was actually being honest, the strait being open and back to normal is best for all of us.
Yeah.
We want a price point of diesel that's makes sense for us to get work done. At the moment, it's too high. 260, 270 a litre is just too high, particularly for our big commercial users, forestry, those sorts of guys.
Are we starting, and don't tell me anything too secret squirrel here, but are we starting to use less fuel, right across? Are you notice a drop in demand? Or is that we just have to continue regardless of price?
I think generally technology is changing the quality of our machinery. So there's some efficiency gains in regards to what we're doing on farm, et cetera, with newer gear. Like our trucks that we bought, those 43, they're 25% more efficient than older trucks that are on the road today. So there's definitely that stuff happening. But diesel demand for the next decade is still forecasted out to be about the same as it is today. So actually that means there's some growth because of technology improvements to improve the efficiency of engines, et cetera. So we're not burning as much, but demand is set to stay about where it is. It's a different story when you talk about petrol. We are absolutely seeing 15% reduction in petrol use that's driven out of mum and dad getting an EV. So where there's an opportunity for people to switch away easily, in other words, in the electric side of things, then you're going to see that reduction. So over the next decade, we're expecting petrol consumption to drop 15, maybe 20%.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's very little you can do on farm, and we are getting to that point of the year when the contractors are going to wind up. We are going to see, and probably it's been fortuitous that this happened right at the end. The price shock came in, very much end of February, very early March, right at the end of the contracting season, right? Farmers are going to start to see, and contractors are going to start to see some big bills coming through.
Yeah, we've already had those conversations. We're doing what we can to sort of bridge them in, so get half their tank filled now and then a little bit more later so they can start sort of building up, if that makes sense, rather than getting smashed with a massive bill when they get going again. And we'll continue to work with those guys. But yeah, man, they'll start smashing it positively. I think you've talked to a lot of people on your show that farming is still in good shape. We're still seeing reasonable prices globally, and we've got farmers who are wanting to get the work done. So I mean, there's it's not perfect, but there is some positive stuff in the primary sector, which will get people into work this year, I think.
All right, Chris Gourley, CEO of Fern Energy. I'll keep drinking my glass of water, mate. You just keep filling up.
No worries.
No worries. We will keep in touch. Thanks for coming back on, mate. Really appreciate it.
Always love it. Keep well. Cheers, man.
All right, Chris Gourley there. Yes, as he said, if you're farming, do not try and play the market. Buy your fuel as you would need it, because all you're going to end up with is it could cost you more, because the amount of volatility in the market right now means that you're never going to outguess it or second guess it. You had one chance right at the start, and I do know someone that did fill up before the price went through the roof. Good on your blocker, and that managed to get him right through for quite a bit of the rest of his harvest season. But that's it. After that, all bets are off.
Countrywide Connect with Andy Thompson and Sarah Perry-Lamb.